everyone, back to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Today I will be talking about how cancer changed my life, how I was able to get through it, and how I processed the whole being diagnosed with cancer. Well, it was really rough for me at the time, but I'll get to that part. First, I want to talk to you guys about how I got diagnosed, how I was feeling, my treatment, and everything. So first, I want to talk to you guys about, I was just having lower abdominal pain. It got to the point where I went to the emergency room and they did blood work, they did a CT scan, and nothing popped up, nothing. Went to the emergency room about 11 in the morning. So I hadn't eaten breakfast. I haven't eaten anything at all that day. So it was about 7 o'clock at night or so when they finally gave me all the results and everything, and were saying that that they couldn't find anything, and they gave me some pain medication, and they started asking me different questions, and they didn't find anything wrong with me. So then my sister got there about 8 o'clock, and she was like, "What'd they tell you?" Since my mom was with me, my mom was explaining to her about what they were saying. The doctor finally came in. They're like, we can't find nothing wrong with you at all. Last option, if you want to do it, get an ultrasound. So he left. So it was just my sister, my mom, and me. We were talking. They're like, we should just get done. You're already here. It's not gonna take that long. If they can't figure it out, we'll just go somewhere else. Okay. Nurse came in and we'll get the ultrasound. I'm like, yes. I just want to figure out what's going on with me. I'm tired of feeling this agony pain. And so they took me back to the room and with the ultrasound. And while they were doing the ultrasound, the nurse kind of like saw something, but she didn't say anything. Like her face was just like something had happened, and she didn't want to say nothing to us. So she was like, okay, well, you guys are done. You guys can go back to the room. We're like, what just happened? This lady just completely like paused and like she had seen something that wasn't supposed to be there. So we went back to the room. About probably 20 minutes, a doctor came in. Sorry, you can't leave. We're admitting you. I was like, what happened? What'd you guys see? And they're like, well, we're gonna have to do endoscopy and a colonoscopy at the same time. So I was like, okay. So I got admitted to the hospital, and that night they had said they drew a picture of my large intestine and everything in my colon, and they said that they had seen like a little blur on it. So they were wanting to do the endoscopy and the colonoscopy like I told you. So with that being said, they had to put an NG tube and to clean out my system to make sure there was nothing in there. And I'm gonna show you a picture up here of me and my NG tube. It was a struggle to get the NG tube in. They finally gave me the okay to eat. They're like, before you start your NG tube and everything to clean out your stomach, they said you can eat something, but just don't eat too much. I said, okay, because I hadn't eaten that yesterday, the whole day. And then I'm finally able to eat. I was starving and everything, so they were finally like, okay, you can go ahead and eat. So I ate, and later that evening, that's when they put my NG tube and ended up throwing everything up. So I was starving again. And throughout that whole night, they're giving me my fluids and everything. So it was the next day after that. So this was the third day. And they're like, okay, we're gonna take you down for your colonoscopy and endoscopy. I was like, okay. So they took me down. I don't remember what happened since they put me asleep. So that was about, I think like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I think it was about 1, maybe, I'm gonna say. It was about 12 or 1 or so. They ended, about 7 people came in the room. So I was personally thinking to myself, can't be good. There's too many people that I don't know. I don't know what's about to happen, but I was starting to get nervous at the time. So everybody came in and they told, it was just my mom, me in the room, and they were like, just sit down, relax. We got to tell you something. And at the moment, after I heard that, I was like, my body kind of like shut down a little bit, because I was like, I was listening, but I couldn't move. I couldn't say nothing. So they sat us down, and at the time, sorry, it's a little emotional for me, but they sat me and my mom down, and they told me that I had colon cancer. I was like, okay. Well, I couldn't say anything at the time. Like, I just started crying. I couldn't believe it. It was just really emotional for me at the time. So, sorry. So with that being said, me and my mom were crying and crying and crying, and then I just couldn't believe it personally. It was a lot to handle at 18. So with that being said, they finally let everybody back in the room. It was my sister and two of my mom's friends, and they're like, "What's going on?" And we told them. I just couldn't believe it personally. I was still crying and everything. I just couldn't believe it. And my brother wasn't there, or his girlfriend. So sorry. So we ended up calling them, and we told them, and they're like, okay, there. So they ended up showing up, and I was still a mess. I was still crying and everything. And sorry, this is really emotional for me. I don't really like talking about this, but I just want to be able to tell you guys my story. And after that, the doctors left the room, and one of them came back in about an hour or two, just to explain. They were referring me to another hospital because they had more experience with my type of cancer, which I had colon cancer. So they're like, well, they'll give you a call and they'll set up your appointment. Me and my mom were like, why can't we just try to get in as soon as possible just to get this taken care of? And they ended up giving me a call 2 days later, after I got released or discharged from the hospital. And I ended up going in, making my appointment. So I made my appointment, I believe it was on maybe a Tuesday, and I got in on a Thursday. And I was already nervous and everything to hear what the doctor was gonna say. And well, I went back to the room, and they were telling me, we're gonna get you in, and see what's going on. We need a better view of everything. So they're like, I do a partial resection of it, and then they wanted to get a port. Then they wanted me to I don't know how to say that, but they wanted to see if I could freeze my eggs because I would need chemotherapy. So they said with the chemotherapy, it would end up killing like most of my eggs and doing who knows what. So I was like, okay. So they set up different appointments, and I met with this person, this person, this person, this person, and at the end, ended up going in, and they kind of like opened me up so they could try to resect some of it, but they had seen that it had spread, and they really couldn't do much about my eggs, so they had to close me up. They said it had spread already. So with that being said, we were freaking out again. Stage am I? Sorry, and they're like, don't worry about the stage. You don't need to know. You got to do chemotherapy for 6 months. So they ended up getting me back to the hospital, and they were telling me my plan and everything. And when they were bringing me back to that room, the nurse practitioner started to cry. She was like, you are way too young. You shouldn't be going through this. And finally the doctor came in, and I needed at least that 6 months of chemotherapy. And then after that, I could do the resection and go from there. So at the time, I ended up doing my chemotherapy. I got it every 2 weeks. And that day I went in for my chemotherapy, the very first day, it was rough. When I was towards, I believe, the last 5 minutes of my treatment, I ended up feeling nauseous, and I was throwing up. While I was throwing up, they gave me a medication, which was Compazine. I had an allergic reaction to it. They ended up rushing me to the emergency room. I don't really remember what happened. Honestly, I just couldn't remember anything. I just remember waking up in the emergency room. From there on out, I was just getting my treatments every 2 weeks, and they sent me home with like a little pump, which had chemotherapy in it, and it would of the therapy every couple minutes for 2 days. So I would go back, I would get my pores flushed and get the little infuser out, and then go again in 2 weeks. Well, that first treatment was horrible. I ended up losing 10 pounds in a week, and my doctor's like, no, you cannot be losing that much with the chemotherapy. It's not gonna be good for you. And I was like, okay. So we ended up changing my treatment a little bit, but I was still getting it every 2 weeks, and with everything. So about 4 months into my treatment, they were, let's go get you a CT scan and see what's going on with your cancer. And I was like, okay. So I went in about 4 months after my chemotherapy, and they said that they seen that the cancer was shrinking, and they wanted to go in and resect it. I was like, okay. But then I had to talk to some more doctors. So they assigned me to an doctor that wanted to do a total hysterectomy on me. Then they wanted to flush, while I was under, they wanted to flush all my insides with chemotherapy while I was under, and then they wanted me with the strain and all that of them resecting all the little tiny bits and specks and all that of the cancer. They wanted me to get an ostomy bag. At the moment of me going to the doctor to talk about the ostomy bag and all my other choices, it was really emotional for me too. They were telling me that I could get a bag that's inside my skin and just have to poke myself and just go from there, or they could do the one that's outside with the stoma, and there were some other 2 options. So at the time of that appointment, I was crying and everything. I can't believe I'm only 18 going through all this. It was something I didn't imagine myself going through at such a young age. And I felt like I didn't want to continue with treatment and all that. I just felt personally like it was too much for me. But I know, I knew personally that, okay, if I give up, I probably won't be able to live that long with everything that's going on. So I was like, no. I thought about it and thought about it. So I was like, nope, let's go continue what we're doing. And so I finally picked the ostomy bag with the stoma. It's outside my body on my right side, my lower belly part. And they finally booked my surgery day. I believe, I can't remember the exact day. I just know it was the beginning of March, towards the end of February. I can't remember the exact day. I believe it was at the end of February. I believe so. But anyways, with that being said, I showed up early that morning to the hospital to get my surgery. So when I was there, they started asking me questions and everything. They were like giving me medication. They were giving me medication, because I was gonna be under for at least 10 hours, they told me. So they were making sure I was comfortable, making sure everything was right, making sure everything was right with my blood, everything. And before I went in, it was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was very emotional for me. I personally felt I've never been in the surgery like that ever, or even been like that. So before they were putting me, or they were like, the doctor came in, were talking to me, saying this is what's gonna happen. They were talking to my parents and going from back to back. So when they're like, okay, well, it's time to go, I busted out crying. I felt like I wasn't ever gonna wake up if they put me under. With everything they were saying, my mind was just like spinning. I didn't really know what to say. I just know I was crying and freaking out. Well, after the surgery, I had woken up. I ended up having about, I think, 50 staples put in. So they made the incision a little bit. It was actually at my breastbone, all the way down, a little bit past the line. So it was about 2 inches or so below my waist. So I had like, I think it was like 50 staples put in. And I could barely move because it was really, really painful. But before, sorry, I kind of went back and forth. But when they were doing it, before I was getting put back, when I was in the surgery room, they put in an epidural. Well, I did not feel the epidural go in. Don't get me wrong. No offense to women that get it when they're giving birth. I personally did not feel it. All I know is they told me to bend over, make sure I sit up straight, and they put the epidural needle in. And when I woke up from the whole surgery and everything, I had a button that I pushed that so I wouldn't feel none of the pain at all. So I had a catheter, and then I had a whole bunch of wires on me. And about 2 days later, they were wanting me to get out the bed, walk around. It was really, really hard for me to get that motivation to even get up. Honestly, it was really hard. I was in so much pain. Either way, I know the epidural is supposed to help, but to me personally, it was hard. And then from there, I had to wait 6 weeks to continue my last 2 months of chemotherapy. And throughout those last 2 months, I didn't really think about much. I didn't put that much thought into anything really. And about that last chemotherapy, I bought all the nurses are some cupcakes, and to me, those nurses there that took care of me were lifesavers to me. They personally made me want to become a nurse like them, and just to help people personally. Whenever I was getting my treatment, they were there for me. They were asking me questions, trying to keep my mind off of the chemotherapy. I really appreciate them, because if not, I think I personally would have probably never made it if it wasn't for them. Always checking up on me, always asking me questions constantly throughout my treatment day. And then some of the people there, some of the other patients that they're in remission and everything, they would bring up gifts for people that were getting chemotherapy. So with some of those gifts, it made me feel like I need to get through this. I want to be able to do the same thing that they're doing to the other clients there and patients at their cancer center. And at that end of that day of when I got my last chemotherapy, you get the chance to like ring a bell. And with that being said, I was like, oh, I'm gonna ring it. And as soon as I got up there, like, I don't know how to explain the feeling. I was just really overwhelmed with everything that I have personally gone through, that I'm like, I just couldn't believe that I was finally done and I was actually cancer free. So I barely rung the bell. I was walking out with my parents and my sister, and they were asking me, why didn't you ring the bell? I thought you said you wanted to ring the bell. I really wanted to ring that bell, but something inside me was like, I don't know how to say it, but that I just really couldn't ring the bell personally. Like, I kind of like froze up, and I kind of really didn't want to believe that I was done, that I was cancer free. And they gave me a little bell and then a little certificate that I was done with everything. It was just really emotional for me, but I was personally acting like it didn't really bother me, but it was really a lot for me to kind of like ring that bell. So with that being said, it was just a lot for me to handle. And then I was done with it. I was done with the treatment, but they had prescribed that I get scans, CT scans every 3 months, and then go from there. And everything, have any cancer or anything. And so now they have me at every 6 months. But I want to talk about the hysterectomy part and all that in another video. That's gonna be a really emotional one too. But personally, how I was able to get through it is just family. And then my dog Rusty, have you guys seen him in my previous video? Without them, I personally don't think that I could have made it through everything I've been through. But the couple things I really want to get out there, like, when you hear that word cancer, it's just, your body freezes and you just can't understand what else is going on. And just know that you can get through it. I know at the beginning when I told you guys I felt like I wanted to give up, I really did. But something changed that I was like, no, I have to fight. I want to be able to live life and tell friends and family like I made it. I personally survived it. And now I feel like I can survive anything personally. But and with that, I know I got diagnosed at the age of 18, and I was technically done with everything in about a year. My whole cancer treatment, everything was, they were trying to go, and it was really fast paced for me, but I just wanted to personally get better. And now when I look back at it, I know that I did a good thing just to continue my treatment and everything. And sorry, I just want to tell you guys, if you do get diagnosed, hopefully you don't. Just if you need a support system, they have support groups. If you do, I'll be here if you guys do need someone to talk to. Don't worry, I personally been through it. I want to be there for other people too. While I was getting my treatment, I was technically the only young one there at that clinic. It was it was crazy. I know people were like staring at me every time. It was, I don't know, I know that people give you that look, like a sympathy look, really. And I personally feel that the looks that they gave me were kind of like, it kind of like brought me down a little bit, thinking, oh, I'm the only young one here. This should never happen to me, but it did. So I'm not. I was upset at the moment, and to this day, whenever somebody talks about cancer to me, or like say that I'm watching TV, or and something pops up, I personally like look away or mute it. I am still personally not at that I don't know how to put it, that I'm okay to talk about it. I I can tell my story, but I don't go too in depth to make me feel like I don't want to get that sympathy. I don't want to get that look. I don't want to get treated like somebody that's been hurt personally. I do not like feeling like that, and I personally, if you do hear like say I'm sorry, maybe give them a hug, but to more to that extent and giving them more than what they're asking for. I think with me personally, but I don't know about other people, but I did not like getting treated. It was glass technically, like say when you drop it, it breaks. I didn't like that. That's how I personally felt. Even with just now telling other people, telling my story just once in a while, it kind of hits me to a part where I'm like sad, and then I'm sad the rest of the day until the next day, and I'm like, there's no point. It's over with. Just know that once you're over and you're cancer free, that your life changes. You get a better perspective of life, and you don't ever take anything for granted. And with me, I want to live my life to the fullest. I'm going to school right now. I'm getting my LPN. I want to continue my education to nurse practitioner. I want to be able to help patients because they changed my life, and I want to be able to people change lives too. I want to be that nurse that sits down when you're getting chemotherapy or radiation and talking to you and telling you different stories, make you laugh, everything. I want to be that nurse, and I set my goals for me to be that nurse. It's just with being diagnosed with cancer, it just have a better perspective of what I personally want in life and how I want to be viewed, how I want to be treated, and I know that it's not as easy as it was for me for other people. I understand that, but I personally went through it, and I kind of have a better understanding now. So if you ever know anybody that's needing help or just needing someone to talk to, please refer me. I would definitely love to help them out through it too, since I kind of understand what they're going through. I just know that without my family and my dog Rusty, that I probably would have never gotten through it. I would have been technically, it's just, it was really rough for me at the time. Another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, just know that when you get diagnosed with it, it doesn't mean that you cannot get cured. Sometimes you cannot get cured, but most of the time, if you fight, I know it's a long road, but don't worry, just don't give up, keep pushing. You can get through it, just like I did. And I believe that if you keep pushing, you will get through it. At the end of everything, I was going through through my scans every 3 months, and now I'm going every 6 months. But in the middle of it, while I'm still getting my scan, sorry, I wanted to find out what stage I was. And there were telling me, no, you don't really need to know your stage. It's in the past. You just got to worry about staying healthy, keeping up with your scans. And I was like, no, I really want to know what stage I was. So I ended up finding out I had stage 4 colorectal cancer. And I know that being said, it had already spread to my abdominal wall, my fallopian tubes, my uterus, all of my. So I had to get a total hysterectomy. Then it spread all over my colon, so I had to get a part of it removed. It was just a rough patch for me. That I grew throughout the whole process, and all I have to say is don't give up. If you know a family member, a close friend that was diagnosed with cancer, just tell them that you're there for them, that don't give up of everything. They just can't give up, honestly. They need to try to get past it and be cancer free like I am now. With that, I personally feel like I have a better better perspective now. It's just I feel more connected to like different cancer patients. I still go up to that cancer center and and just seeing everybody there still, I just feel like I was one of them. I understand that. Future be there for them too as a nurse. But besides that, that's really my story. I do want to do another video. I know it's gonna be more emotional and more honest. I've never really talked to anybody about it personally, so it's gonna be more honest, honestly. So with that, I really want to get that video in. I'll probably have this edited and everything by tomorrow, so I might be able to get the next video up by Wednesday. I personally, with the hysterectomy, changed my life, honestly. Well, I don't want to give you guys too much detail, so I'm gonna leave it at this. And I'm gonna post some pictures here of my surgery and then go from there. So I want to be able to show you guys some pictures of everything that I was going through and everything. Give you guys a better, probably like a better story of that part. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave it on this note, and I will get that next video up. I don't really want to edit this video that much, so because I want to be able to show everything really. So I'm leaving it at this note. So I will be posting my next video, and that's all for today. So I will see you in my next video. Do not forget to like and subscribe and turn on your post notifications. And peace.